Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Following Alabama's first loss of the season, losing to Tennessee on the road 52-49. Going to point out a couple key takeaways from last night's game at Neyland Stadium. Alabama loses to Tennessee for the first time after 15 seasons. Clearly, fans at Neyland Stadium and in Knoxville going crazy following the game 15 out of 16 times. Pretty big deal for Josh Heupel. With that said, there's a couple notable takeaways that we should talk about. And I think when you look at this game overall, one of the glaring things that really stood out was the penalties. Alabama had 17 penalties for 130 yards. Tennessee had 6 penalties, just 6, for 39 yards. And I think there was a couple controversial plays in this particular game, and it doesn't come down to one play, but I think penalties certainly have an impact in the game. You look at the targeting call that was not called on Bryce Young. Clearly, the crown of the helmet did hit Bryce Young right in the face mask. You look at some of these pass interference calls, and even following the game, Nick Saban said that pass interference is one of the most difficult calls to make within college football. But, when players are being dragged down or whatever the case is, those are the pass interference calls that are going to make or break the game. Alabama was just 6 of 13 on third down conversions. Tennessee was 5 of 10. And I think that the stadium atmosphere really had an impact on Alabama. You look at the delay of game penalties that Alabama faced. With that said, Alabama was still 6 of 6 inside the red zone. Tennessee 4 for 4. I think it was really disheartening to see Hyatt have the game that he had. He tore up Alabama last season, but this season, 207 yards with 5 touchdowns. That is just completely unacceptable for Alabama's defense. Hendon Hooker, 21 of 30 with 1 interception, 385 yards. He was just sacked 1 time. Where was the Alabama pass rush? I think Alabama certainly had a tough time stopping Tennessee clearly, but when you look at the rushing statistics, Tennessee went to Wright for 71 yards, and then Hendon Hooker actually had 72 yards. So once again, a mobile quarterback being able to give Alabama fits. On Alabama's side, Jahmyr Gibbs played fantastic. 24 carries, 111 yards. He had 3 touchdowns on the night. Some big time plays. And I thought towards the end of the game, I thought Bryce hit him on the hands. It was maybe a tough catch to make, but I think if Jahmyr Gibbs catches that, he's off to the races and Alabama wins the game. Bryce Young, let's talk about the Warrior. 35 of 52, 455 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He was just sacked 1 time. It looked like he was hit a lot, but he was just sacked 1 time. Kobe Prentice, again, freshman at Alabama, 9 receptions, 66 yards. Cameron Latou, biggest game of his season so far, 6 receptions for 90 yards. And then Ja'Cory Brooks thought he had a stellar game, 6 receptions for 79 yards, including 1 touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs had 5 receptions for 48 yards. There was a couple mishaps on special teams. You look at, particularly the last play for Alabama's offensive drive when it was a 50-yard field goal that was missed by Will Riker. He's been struggling as of late, something that definitely needs to get tightened up as Alabama moves forward. Now, overall, Alabama still controls its own destiny as Tennessee and Georgia are in the East, Alabama, Ole Miss leading the West. Currently, Ole Miss is undefeated, but Alabama and Ole Miss will have their date set here coming soon. That game will actually be on November 12th. Ole Miss, currently undefeated with a 7-0 record, has to travel to LSU, then travel to Texas A&M before taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. A lot of college football left to be played. Stick around as Alabama still definitely in the mix. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com.